there to you all faithful viewers of Equinoxe television. It's 6 p.m. in Kribi in the South region, and it's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories this evening, viewers: heinous crimes are continuously being reported almost on a daily basis in Cameroon. Today, the corpses of 2 female secondary students were found abandoned in a nearby forest in Kribi in the South region of the country. The girls were allegedly kidnapped, sexually assaulted, killed, and abandoned naked. That incident justifies the high rate of criminality lately in Cameroon. We will be taking you to Kribi in this edition of the news. And as Cameroon and the Catholic Church prepares to welcome the Holy Father in April, Pope Leo XIV, in this edition of the news, we present to you the Cameroon Pope Leo who will be visiting in about a month. Viewers, those are our lead stories. We will be back for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for always being with us. Thank you for the confidence. A fresh wave of tension is sweeping across the political landscape in Cameroon as a family of late Manidem President Anissa Ekane openly rejects the findings of the Ministry of Defense's administrative inquiry into his death. In a strongly worded declaration, his widow's legal team is demanding an independent and transparent investigation, vowing that the quest for truth and accountability is far from being over. Innocent Asset tells us more.
Tension continues to mount following the death of President Anissa Ekane as his widow's legal team publicly challenges the conclusions of the administrative inquiry conducted by the Ministry of Defense. In a declaration issued in Yaoundé on February 25, counsel to Mrs. Ekane, Ni Edwidge, strongly criticized the communique released a day earlier by the ministry spokesperson, which announced the closure of the investigation into the sudden and troubling death of the president of the Manidem on December 1, 2025. The lawyers argue that the administrative inquiry was unilateral and carried out under conditions that cannot be imposed on their client. They insist that the process lacked transparency and fairness, raising serious concerns about credibility. Citing both international human rights law and national legislation, the legal team underscored that families have the fundamental right to know the truth about the circumstances surrounding the death of a loved one and to seek justice. They further stressed that the Constitution of Cameroon guarantees the dignity and integrity of individuals even after death and places a responsibility on public authorities to protect those rights. On behalf of Mrs. Ekane, the lawyers are demanding an independent and transparent investigation into the exact circumstances of President Ekane's death. They are also calling for accountability from all those involved in his arrest, his detention, and the medical care he received at the National Gendarmerie Medical Center. The declaration, signed by Barrister Hippolyte Meli and Barrister Emmanuel Sin, signals that the family is not prepared to accept the findings of the administrative inquiry and is pressing for what they describe as truth, justice, and full accountability. As the matter unfolds, pressure is likely to grow for greater clarity surrounding the final hours of one of the country's prominent political figures.
And in Cameroon's conflicts-affected northwest region, poor roads, lack of health care, and years of political neglect are putting the lives of pregnant women, to be more precise, at risk. In remote villages like Awi, expectant mothers are forced to travel dangerous paths on foot and by motorbikes to reach the nearest health facility, a journey many never complete. With no health care or limited health care in the northwest region, no government presence, and growing insecurity, giving birth in Awi has been a matter of survival. Our correspondent Bruce Teller made the trip to Awi and reports on how weak infrastructure and failing public services are turning motherhood into a life-threatening struggle.
In the remote village of Awi, in the conflict-hit northwest of Cameroon, pregnancy is often a dangerous journey. There is no clinic and no pharmacy in the area. For expectant mothers, medical care lies beyond these broken paths in Widikum, more than 6 kilometers away. It takes 4 hours in the dry season and up to 8 hours in the rainy season. For women in labor, delays like these can mean the difference between life and death. It is very stressful transporting a pregnant woman. I once carried one who was in labor and she delivered along the road. Unfortunately, the baby died.
My people lost their life because of no route, no health center, no electricity, no network.
Many women give birth at home, surrounded by family instead of medical staff. This young woman delivered her baby at home, not by choice, but because no health facility was within reach.
I'm born, they're stressed too much.
I was stressed during labor because there's no health facility in this area. I was scared I could die like my sisters, but thank God I delivered safely. Traditional birth attendants now fill the gap. They work without medicines, sterilized tools, or emergency support.
The woman one born for you.
Whenever a woman is in labor in this village, I administer them with traditional herbs. When complications arise, I refer them to Widikum. Unfortunately, some of them died during treatment. The World Health Organization estimates Cameroon's maternal mortality rate at 258 deaths per 100,000 births. In villages like Awi, residents say the real toll is higher, often hidden by distance and insecurity.
So most of our picking them, mommy, then they die for it because of...
Most of our women and children die here due to the lack of a health facility. Often, before emergency cases reach the hospital, they die.
He die for road.
Even routine services like childhood vaccination are rare. Families rely on motorbikes to transport women and children in emergencies.
As I did so, my food nowhere you saw a bonnet for house.
Due to pains in my leg, I delivered my baby at home 8 months ago. Those who have the means travel out of here to vaccinate their children. For me, I have not vaccinated my child.
I need the vaccine.
There are no official records of maternal deaths here, but residents speak of mothers and babies lost on the way, unaccounted and undocumented.
We get a mayor, we get parliamentarian.
We have a mayor, a parliamentarian and senator. They are all in Widikum, but they do not care about us. They collect micro grants but never look at our community.
Even the road, they don't have access for this side.
In Awi, childbirth is shaped less by medicine than by distance and damaged roads. Until access improves, every pregnancy here remains uncertain.
On to this other story which has been making news headlines. The Miss Cameroon Organizing Committee has officially destituted or dethroned Josiane Harangada Golonga, Miss Cameroon 2025, citing a breach of her contract. And since its creation, that was in the year 2002, Komika has dismissed or dethroned, destituted at least 4 Miss Cameroon queens for indiscipline, according to them. Details with Mala Glory.
Josiane Harangada Golonga, who was crowned Miss Cameroon last July 2025, has officially been dethroned by the Miss Cameroon Organizing Committee, Komika. The information was published by the committee on Wednesday, February 25, 2026 in an official document. According to Komika, the dismissal follows repeated violations of her contract, including unjustified absences from official events, alleged disrespect towards the institution, suspension of activities without approval, and the appointment of a personal manager against the rules. The document goes further to explain that, despite numerous warnings, Harangada Golonga Josiane has remained silent, indicating a manifest refusal to respect her commitment. The Miss Cameroon Organizing Committee adds that, following Josiane's dismissal, first runner-up will take over the position to ensure the continuity of the function and to preserve the image of the institution. Aside Josiane's dismissal, Cameroon has equally witnessed high-profile dethronement. Julie Chegongimfak Miss Cameroon 2016 was dethroned in 2017 following disputes over gross indiscipline and contractual violations such as organizing independent events without permission. Miss Cameroon 2009 and Lucrece Ntep entered into conflict with the committee regarding the management of her prizes and was stripped of her role. And Agathe Pascaline Nomier, crowned in 2002 as Cameroon's first Miss under the current organization Komika, was dismissed following disputes with the committee. Despite all this dismissal, Miss Cameroon Organizing Committee Komika reiterates its commitment to defending the integrity, credibility of the Miss Cameroon competition, a symbol of beauty, culture and values of Cameroon.
And now let's talk about the Holy Father Pope Leo XIV's visit to Cameroon. We already know it has been confirmed that Pope Leo will visit Cameroon in the month of April, that is precisely from the 15th to the 18th of that month. This will be the fourth papal visit to Cameroon by 3 sovereign pontiffs. Now the motivations of the previous and current visits of different popes to Cameroon can be traced in spiritual, diplomatic and geopolitical wills. This is a view of Cameroonians who think the repeated visit of the popes to Cameroon is not a coincidence. For me, I'm Sander.
John Paul II in August 1985, John Paul II again in September 1995, Benedict XVI in 2009, and now Leo XIV built for April 2026. Cameroonians wonder what is special about Cameroon to the Vatican.
The Pope's visit, as he was in 1985, 1995, 2009, of course, 2026, is not just ceremonial, but both spiritual and strategic. For the Vatican, it reinforces its mission in one of Africa's most vibrant Catholic regions, promoting peace and moral leadership. For Cameroon, it promotes international visibility, diplomatic credibility, and of course, reinforces national unity under the leadership of President Paul Biya.
As to what Cameroon benefit in terms of impact and positive change, these opinion leaders savour nothing to take home.
It started in 1985 with Pope John Paul II when he visited Cameroon. Cameroonians thought they were going to come out of the mischievous things that are happening in Cameroon. And only to notice that after he went, the evaluation started in Cameroon. Many other crises started in Cameroon, even like yours happened in 1986 after he went away. Pope John Paul II again visited Cameroon in 1995, that is 10 years after, thinking that we were to be liberated, but to our greatest surprise, it was still Cameroonians living in abject poverty.
They strongly believe that peace and progress cannot be imported but built locally with goodwill.
We are of IACC, our Justice, Peace Building and Development Association in Cameroon. We see that they don't import peace, they don't import justice. Justice is being practiced here in Cameroon, that it should be practiced here and consumed here. God, bring all Cameroonians to table and let them talk. When they talk, then I think it would be the best thing so far than importing peace.
So we are excited, not just at the level of Cameroon, but also at the level of Biaka Group, where we have mass every week.
The upcoming visit is expected to focus on promoting peace, dialogue and reconciliation, particularly in the context of the Anglophone crisis and the post-election tension in Cameroon.
And now we already know one of the archdioceses the Holy Father will visit while in Cameroon is the Archdiocese of Bamenda. And as the Pope Leo XIV prepares to visit Bamenda during his tour of Cameroon, the city is undergoing a major facelift, from road repairs to street cleaning. For residents in this conflict-affected region, the Northwest region, the visit of the head of the Roman Catholic Church is more than ceremonial. It's more than a ceremonial event as the Anglophone crisis enters its 10th year. Mbustela brings us the story from Bamenda.
Following the announcement that Pope Leo XIV will visit Bamenda as part of his tour of Cameroon from April the 15 to 18, 2026, residents here are expressing hope that the visit will bring peace to the troubled Anglophone regions. The Pope's arrival comes as the conflict marks its 10th year.
And what has happened to our young men and women who have taken arms against their brothers and sisters has been an act of a spiritual, devilish position. And now the coming of the Pope, and I believe in his power of exorcism, Bamenda will be cleansed from this thing.
Across the city, roadworks and sanitation campaigns are on the way as authorities prepare to welcome the highest authority of the Roman Catholic Church. Local officials say the facelift reflects the importance of the visit. For many residents, the Pope's visit represents more than ceremony. It carries deep emotional and spiritual meaning.
Most of us are impressed. We are happy because we believe maybe he can change a lot of things. When I talk about a lot of things, I mention like the crisis. We are going through a lot. So I believe he can do something to stop all these things.
In a region affected by years of violence, people say their greatest wish is stability and safety.
Well, I can say, as that will be cancelled, how we don't hear, and they come. I want to say, may all things be in peace.
As Bamenda prepares to receive Pope Leo XIV, expectations are high that his presence will inspire reconciliation and healing.
And now we move over to Kribi to take this our major lead story with Babila Jonathan, who happens to be in Kribi at the moment. He tells us that 2 high school girls have been found dead in Kribi in the south region of the country, and that remarkable discovery was made by the local population. That was at about 1 p.m. The cause of their death remains unclear as at now, but Babila tells us that the students were kidnapped, sexually assaulted before being killed and abandoned in a nearby forest.
Corpses in a marshy area in one of the villages of the Sokapam Kinke agro-industrial complex in Kribi, south region of Cameroon. There are 2 girls who have been missing since Monday. Both of them were students of Second and Premiere of the French subsystem of education at the Kribi Rural Bilingual High School. He learned about the disappearance of his sister on social media on Tuesday at about 10 a.m. and by midday, news of the discovery of her corpse and that of her schoolmate went viral.
Il semble que lundi, elle arrive, elle n'a pas eu le temps de faire les tresses. D'après ce qu'ils m'ont dit, on l'a fait renvoyer donc pour qu'elle aille faire les tresses.
We are told both of them were sent back home by school authorities because their hairs were not in order. Their corpse showed signs of rape, but the cause of their death is yet to be clearly established by competent authorities. The mortal remains have been deposited in the morgue.
Sad indeed. And now to this other sad story, this time around in the west region of the country. Shock and consternation has gripped the Balafi village in Buda in the Bambutus division of the west region of the country after 3 siblings aged 2, 4 and 7 died from suspected food poisoning. Rice was the last meal they had before their lives were tragically cut short. The discovery was made by a woman who passed by the house, found the children lying on the floor, holding, complaining about stomach issues and also stomach pain. The mother of the kids who was at the farm or who went to the farm with her husband at the time of the discovery claims she had a few spoons of the rice and gave the rest to the children. 2 other children who ate the same food are currently hospitalized at the Buda District Hospital. Authorities have launched investigation to determine the real cause of the death of those 3 children in Buda. Now to news out of our national frontiers. 3 significant political and economic developments currently unfolding across Central Africa, ranging from labor disputes to international diplomacy. Our foreign page roundup with Loma Ero.
The Chadian government has followed through on its threat to withhold pay from the striking teachers. In the capital, Jamena, and several provinces, teachers who joined the strike organized by the union did not receive their full salary for February. On February 22nd, the Minister of National Education, Dr. Abubakar Asidik Chiroma, warned that the government will apply a 2007 law regarding the right to strike. This law allows the state to deduct pay for days when employees do not work. For the second time in less than a month, President Félix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo met with the French President Emmanuel Macron at the Élysée Palace on Wednesday, February 25th. During their working lunch, the two leaders discussed on the stronger ties between France and the Democratic Republic of Congo, the ongoing security crisis, and the humanitarian aids in eastern Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo's candidate for the top position at the International Organization of La Francophonie. EMF mission begins in Libreville on Wednesday, February 25th. The International Monetary Fund began a 10-day visit to Gabon. The International Monetary Fund representatives will assess to the country's economy and discuss future reform. This visit comes 1 month after Gabon's authorities reached out to the International Monetary Fund for support. The meeting is seen as critical because investors are currently worried about the country's economic data.
And that does it for the first part of the news, viewers. Let's now move on to talking points. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Reverend Father Rene NGON. He is the parish priest of the Our Lady of Mount Carmel parish in Congo here in Douala. Thank you, Father, for accepting to be our guest on the news. Catholic Christians plus a cross-section of Cameroonians have been expressing some excitement, so to speak, since the confirmation of the Holy Father's visit to the country in the month of April. Now, what was the effervescence at the Our Lady of Mount Carmel parish, where you are the parish priest, Father? Before you respond, just to let our viewers know that English is your second language.
Welcome. The Pope visit has always been a great moment for the church. Not only for the church, but even for the government. Because when he comes, not only will he meet the clergy, but he will meet the leaders of this country, the politicians. He will meet almost everybody. So the Pope is coming with a message that is a message of hope. Because if I try to see what is happening in Cameroon since 2017, I think people are a bit disturbed with the crisis on the south and northwest, and even in the eastern north, and even in the east. We are dealing with people in darkness. So I'm quite sure that the Pope visit in Cameroon, that will bring hope, that will bring a very good message, and that will learn from what he will tell us, because he's preparing, people are there, they know what is happening in Cameroon, so he will talk about Cameroon and he knows exactly what to talk about. So we are quite happy and we are blessed to receive Pope Leon. He's coming for the first time in Africa, and our country has been chosen among the country to visit. So that is a moment of hope, that's a moment of joy, and we hope that the Pope will bring very...
Father Rene, what can we say can be the spiritual connotation attached to Pope Leo's visits to Cameroon? Or let me ask the question in other words. Some opinions in Cameroon think the country is a suffering nation with desperate and poor people, like everywhere, with several crises plaguing the country. So the Pope's visit is uncalled for. What's your take on that, Father?
I think that is very
wayward,
very little thinking, because if we are living poverty, it's not because of the Pope. I don't know the last Pope who came here, so we cannot put in that side. No, some people say that. I think one of the people wrote a letter to tell the Pope that he should not come to Cameroon because there's no peace, people are suffering. But I think when Jesus came, people were suffering. But Jesus came to bring the good news. Jesus came not to give material to people, but the message of Jesus was the message of hope. So if someone has lost hope, even if you give him money, he cannot do anything at all. So I hope that the Pope, if the Pope has chosen to come here, it's for a purpose. It is very challenging even to the government. So that's why I see in that angle that after his passage in Cameroon, we will notice certain things. He will have a talk with the clergy, we will have a talk with the authority in Cameroon. So I do not, I'm mistaken, but I do not think that the Pope can meet the president without talking about the crisis in Cameroon. So people should understand profoundly what is coming here.
Okay. What are the exigencies or priorities which you think the Holy Father Pope Leo XIV should put accent on when he visits Cameroon in April?
I will tell him about peace in Cameroon. As I said, since 2017, we have lost a lot of our children, our daughters, our brothers who took arms, and the army. Even this week, people are dying. If I have to meet him, I will let him know that he should pass the message of hope. But he's a pastor. He's a pastor. He wants also to touch the authorities, because I'm really convinced that strike started from the lawyers and the teachers. And I'm convinced, totally convinced, that the government has the key to solve that problem. So the Pope should tackle that problem, be it in the clergy, because be it in the clergy or in the level of the state. I think that will be the main focus. That after his passage in Cameroon, we should notice that something has changed, something has happened in our country, even in our church.
Hopefully the Pope discusses the Anglophone problem with the authorities of the country, Father. And now this is the first papal visit to Cameroon by 3 popes. That means in about 20 years or so, 3 sovereign pontiffs have made 4 visits to our country. Now, what is that uniqueness of Cameroon that brings the Pope, who is the President of the Vatican, which is a state on its own, and the head of the Roman Catholic Church in the world?
You see, Canal Tommy was a blessing for Cameroon. I think his presence in Cameroon changed a lot of things. He was really a powerful man, not powerful in the worldly vision, but spiritually, the Canal was a very, very, very profound person. And we have a lot of priests in Rome. They are schooling there. Some did diplomacy there. Some were even set as a secretary in the nunciature in certain country. So, and when you see the clergy in Cameroon, the church in Cameroon has the power, but a positive power. I'm quite sure that, because when we do everything, we set the statistic in Rome every year, the number of baptism, confirmation, wedding, and so on and so forth. I'm quite sure that Cameroonians have left their mark in Rome.
Now, Father, maybe before we go, the church dwells more on prayer as a solution to most of our worries. How far can just praying resolve the socio-political crisis in our country? Like, what role does prayer play?
I think the social aspect of our believers is to be taken in account. If you see the encyclical, the old one written about work, it was said that we should walk as if God does not exist and pray as if work does not exist. To mean that we have to pray and walk. Jesus prayed. Even himself, the man that didn't come from heaven, he had that power. But Jesus passed through his disciples 2 fish and 5 breads, and he used them. And that is very significant. He could have asked his father to send manna from heaven, but he used. So that is to say that to save a human being, God has to pass through a human being.
Thank you very much, Father Rene NGON, for accepting to talk to us or be our guest on the news tonight, to mention or remind our televiewers that you're the parish priest of the Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish in Congo here in Douala. Thank you for opening your doors to us. And viewers, that does it for this edition of the news. Thank you for always being there. Our programs continue tonight. Equinoxe will be yours at 7 p.m. That will be in about 30 minutes. And the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. with Irish Ngonomala. I will be back in the studio. That will be tomorrow, 6 p.m. For now, it's bye-bye from us.